All right, welcome back to the RIP. I'm joined by Big Pick Joe, Magic Mark, and Laney's Locks. It was an eventful week one of college football, some highs, some lows, a real pitfall for the Red Raiders and the unit. Anyone who rode with the Unity hit, first
Wow.
L. 2022 was our year. 2023 starting off 0-1. We hate it, but hey, there's always the next bet to help you recover from that. So we got some great locks lined up for you. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Ramblin' Raiders YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. We're also on social media at Ramblin' Raiders on Twitter, at Ramblin' Raiders on Instagram, Ramblin' Raiders podcast on Facebook, and our TikTok is at Ramblin' Raiders as well. So follow us for all Texas Tech / betting, anything with the Rip's going to be betting content here with the boys. So guys, real quick, throw it around the horn, man. How did everyone come out from New Orleans financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically? I mean, how are you guys doing today on Tuesday?
Well, I came out with a wife, so take that as for what, either good or bad, depending on your stance on that. So
I ended
Right.
the weekend 4-1. So I told Big Pick Army I was on my redemption tour and I'm well on my way. Ready to hit week two. I like the way the slate looks.
Big pick, just Mike the horse. He's hot out of the gate, baby. What
he
Yeah.
about it?
just
What about
might
you?
send a lock your way.
Yeah, that's right, man. Marky Mark,
Yeah,
how
I
we
went two
feeling?
and three, so financially not too bad, not too good. So we're gonna steer the ship and try to get a good week. Emotionally, I'm still pretty down from New Orleans. Had a rough weekend, and then I'm still feeling it. So looking to revive myself with some good picks here.
Yeah, man. Let's just say work was not the best this morning. At least I got to work from home. RIP to all of you who had to go to the office. But let's get into it, man. Week two, we're back in action. I think it's safe to say Joe was kind of spot on when it came to some of those. Don't be afraid of the big line, right? Don't be afraid of the big line. Either you were on it or you weren't. And there was some, I mean, upsets. There were some blowouts. Week one is just, I guess, so unpredictable is the point I'm trying to make. You don't really know. Now teams are settling in. You think you have a little bit better feel. I want to start with our hottest member of the team out of week one, Big Pick Joe. What do you think, man? I know you're seeing the board, lucid right now, better than anyone else.
Yeah.
What are your Joe eyes see this week, man?
So I learned my lesson. I mean, don't be afraid of the big number. Just to recap real quick, I guess I didn't go through my picks, but OU minus 35, won by 70. Iowa under. Just remember your rules and your principles. Iowa under 45 and a half. That one smack. Texas minus 35. They couldn't get it done against Rice, but luckily that was our only slip up of the week. USC minus 38. They put it on, I think it was Nevada. And then UNC and South Carolina under 64 and a half. Kicked it off for a good week one in the green. And week two, I've got a couple. Well, I love the card as a whole, but there's a couple points that I really do like. My first one was that UTEP game against Northwestern. Everyone knows about the locker room issues at Northwestern. I think UTEP goes in there, gets it done. My second pick was Oklahoma versus SMU. Again, I'm not afraid of the big number. I'm taking OU minus 15 and a half. And then my third pick, both of these teams, their offense showed up in week one. Cincinnati looked really impressive. And them at Cincinnati at plus 7.5 really just kind of stuck out to me. I'm riding with that one. For my fourth pick, I was looking at the Middle Tennessee and Missouri game. We watched Middle Tennessee get the break speed off them pretty good by Alabama last week. Missouri should have a good season as a whole, so I'm looking at that game minus 20.5. My last pick, I have Tulsa at Washington. Again, both of these offenses showed up. Michael Penix at Washington looks to be pretty legit. I'm liking the total at 64 and a half. Tulsa, they had a good offense week one too, so I think both these teams put up some points, and we get over that 64.5 pretty easily.
Joe, did you say you were picking Cincinnati to cover against Pitt?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the thinking behind that?
They looked good last week.
All right.
Pitt didn't. I mean, Pitt won, but they played. I think Pitt beat up on Wofford. So
yeah, 7.5. 7.5 is a tough number. It's kind of hit. So
I mean,
it should be a good game. So
Wofford's a glorified punching bag. No.
Yeah,
The
I wasn't
quarterback could barely
impressed.
throw it like 20 yards.
Hey,
I mean,
then again, that's
Cincinnati beating up against Eastern Kentucky. I don't know how much that tells you, but
so just two lightweights sparring against some punching bags in week one, and now they're about to meet in the ring for an epic showdown. I like what you said, Joe, and I had you quoted on that. Stick to your principles, man. As a bettor, you got to stick to your principles. You can't get overly emotional like yours truly. I can't even put my chef hat on because I'm so disgusted with myself. Dropping the money sack on Texas Tech this weekend. I dumped it, and boy, did it backfire in my face exponentially, man. It was terrible. Just the worst. Okay. I like those. I also have a fun little question I'm going to throw to y'all here after Mark goes. Mark, I want to hear where you're at. Hey, 2 for 3 is not, it's nothing to scoff at. Obviously, it's not where you want to be, but I've had a lot worse weekends. In fact, I did have a worse weekend personally. So let it rip, man. I mean, what do you
It's a long season. So, I mean, 2 and 3, obviously not where we want to be, but we're going to stick to our principles here. We got BYU not scoring against Sam Houston's kind of crazy, and then West Virginia coming out and still hanging with Penn State in the first half. That's kind of crazy. I'll take those losses all day. But as far as what I have for week 2, first we're going to go with a little home dog action. Iowa State +4 at home versus Iowa. I don't really see this game getting away from Iowa State. Iowa's probably the better team, but 4 points. I could see this game ending on a field goal pretty easily. Like Joe said earlier, it might be a 10-7 battle or something like that. This could easily be +4. They're at home. This is a big rivalry game. They're going to definitely get off the mat for this one. Second one, another home dog. This is going to go against the conference that my school plays in, but Cal is getting +6.5 at home versus Auburn. I think Auburn's going to be a work in progress. I don't think they have a ton of talent. I think Cal, they just smacked the North Texas team by like 30 points. That's usually Cal's not really rolling teams like that usually. So at home, at night, this is a 9:30 kickoff. So this could be a chase spot for anyone who's had a bad day. But +6.5, I like that number. Utah -7.5 at Baylor. Baylor, they had a tough week. Losing to Texas State, that's never what the doctor ordered. Read this morning that their quarterback is also going to be out for this game. I think 7.5 it's definitely a big number, but I think you can feel confident against a Baylor team that's definitely going to be limping into this game. And I think Utah, I think they put it on Florida, obviously, but I don't think Florida's going to end up being as bad as they looked. I think Utah is just that good of a team, and I think they're going to smother Baylor, and they're not going to be able to move the ball. The other one I had here is Notre Dame -7.5 at NC State. NC State struggled with UConn. That was a game until pretty late in the fourth quarter. I think Notre Dame's quarterback is pretty good. I think he's a Heisman candidate. I think they're going to have a good campaign, and I definitely think it starts here with them rolling over NC State in their own building. My last one, now this one might be a little controversial to the panel here, but
I like it. Come on, lay it on us, make it hurt.
Oregon -6.5. Oregon, Bo Nix has obviously played a lot of college football. They clearly looked explosive last week and capable of big plays. I looked at the box score for the Tech game. Tech didn't really shoot themselves in the foot too much. They won the turnover battle. They did great on third down. They had a lot of yards. They just got beat. So my concern here is that Tech just doesn't have the firepower to hang with Oregon.
I can't argue much with your synopsis there. We got our ass kicked on Saturday, so.
Hey, a couple of notes from Marks besides the fact that he's dead to me now, but I will too. There's a chance I'm riding with him on that. Baylor is spiraling, and this is actually what I was going to throw to y'all real quick before I let Lane go is who was the bigger loser on Saturday, Baylor or Texas Tech? I
Dude,
think
Wyoming, that's a tough spot to play. Baylor losing to Texas State, that's inexcusable.
what was Baylor at home? Please tell me yes.
They were.
It was in
Yeah, they're at
Waco.
home.
Yeah, it was in
All right.
Waco.
That's
Forget it.
pitiful.
No,
Yeah,
enough
it's
said.
definitely
So
Baylor.
I will say though, like when anytime you lose a unity hit, that hit me deep in the heart. And I thought we had wedding magic, kind of just really just jammed the knife in me and twisted it.
Yeah,
So
that was
they're
our last.
equally as painful.
That was our last wedding to get through, and they screw us like that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I think a candidate for Unity hit would be Joe touched on it earlier, but UTEP -1.5 at Northwestern. Just want to echo that off of Big Pick Joe. That's a great pick. I like that. Northwestern, they're going to win 1 or 2 games this year.
hey, I could ride with that, man. Chef Likey. Dude,
And if we get our hearts broken again, then we'll chase at the 9 o'clock game with Cal.
I was
Yeah,
about to say, I love where Mark's head's at too. Being respectful of the followers, giving you a great chase option. I hope Kelby Shimming's listening to this because you know he's going to be about it. Lane, last but not least, man, take it home for us. What do you got?
Yeah, I was able to look at the board a little more this week, and now that I'm not planning a wedding, uh, so I should have some more picks, more than I had last week. I think I only had two and went 1 for 1, 1 and 1, hitting U of H in the spread, and then losing what was the other one that I lost?
Yeah, South Carolina.
South Carolina. That's right. They got smoked. That's another just terrible take by me, but we'll take the U of H win.
Hey,
This week,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of people thought that would be a lot closer game, but we found out Drake May was for real. So look out for North Carolina this year, I think. But my first pick for week 2 is going to go with Colorado, -3 at home against Nebraska. Look, I don't think Nebraska's that good. They got beat in their first game. I think I think Boulder is going to be absolutely electric for their home opener after what they did this last week. Their offense looked, I mean, explosive. They scored a lot of points. Their defense got some takeaways. I mean, they got two of the best players that are playing right now at a high level in college football. I like them at home to win by more than 3 points against a rebuilding Nebraska team. They seem to be in a constant state of rebuild over there. So I like Colorado. And the rest of my picks are all going to be Big 12 picks. The first one is Kansas at home, -3 against Illinois. They started slow, but they settled in and ended up having a pretty good opener. Put up about 45 points. I think their quarterback kind of settled in after some nerves. I don't think that's going to happen this week. They're going to be at home, like I said, against a decent Illinois team. They won their first game, but I like Kansas to come out and win by more than 3 at home. The next one I have is going to be Kansas State over Troy, 16.5. Another team that kind of started slow, settled in, kind of just handled their business quietly. I like Kansas State to come in at home and win this game by more than 16.5 points. Troy had an easy first game. Stephen F. Austin, they only won by 18. So I like Kansas State to give them a roll this week. And those are my picks. Oh, I have one more. I have one more. Me and Joe were kind of talking about this pre-pod. We'll say it's both of our picks. We got Houston against Rice, -10. Houston had a huge win against UTSA. That's a difficult opponent. They completely shut down that quarterback. I think they're going to absolutely shut down Rice. I think Houston's defense has looked really good in week 1. They got the job done against a tough opponent. Don't like Rice here in a sticky situation. I mean, the game's still in Houston, so it's basically like a home game for U of H. I like U of H -10, as does Big Pick Joe.
Yep, love that one.
I like that one too. This is a good board.
Good call, man. No, y'all been laying it on us. This is great. I will say in one of Lane's points, you talk about constantly rebuilding. There's one word that I really associate with Nebraska, and that's the word cheeks. I mean, they have been cheeks. They will continue to be cheeks. When they left the Big 12, the betting gods sports gods look down upon them, and they've been in a constant state of cheeks since then. So I might hit you up on that one as well. Okay, guys. Mark brought up a good point real quick offline. We got to talk about 2 big games this weekend. I'm going to throw Probably a take out there that won't surprise many. My bias. I'm an emotional bettor. I always have been. I can't stick to my principles like Joe. So I'm going to take us back to the Texas Tech Oregon. Just a little bit of a. I mean, not even a bet ultimately. Actually, you know what? I'll go look at the first half lines and then give those to y'all, and we'll figure that out. But two games everyone needs to talk about. Bama. I mean, biggest game of the weekend. Texas at Bama. Texas didn't look spectacular by any means in their opener against Rice. That could be a lot of things. You talk about opening week jitters. People are down on Ewers saying, that they don't know if he's really the answer, that the prince that was promised for them. Bama, I'll be honest with y'all. I mean, or Joe said it. They beat up on who? Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Doesn't really tell you much. This is kind of a wild card to me, and the fact that it's in Bama is going to make it interesting. Mark, you're our SEC correspondent, man. Why don't you lead the way for us?
Yeah, so watch back Texas and Rice a little bit. Texas kind of struggled to protect Ewers. I think that's going to be a problem, even though Alabama did have Anderson go top 5 in the draft. They're still a pretty deep defensive line, and if they have if Texas's offensive line is going to struggle against a team like Alabama, they're not going to be able to keep him upright. That's going to be a long day for that, especially in that building in that atmosphere. So I think I saw was 7.5 this afternoon. Probably would lean Alabama. I do like the under on this game. It started at 56. I think it's down to 54 now. I think Alabama is really just going to run the football down Texas's throat. I don't think they're going to try to get cute here. I think they're going to lean on their defense to kind of take them home. So I definitely like Alabama in this one.
That was kind of the downfall of Texas last year too, is they couldn't protect Ewers and he ended up getting hurt. I would look
Ewers.
maybe an Alabama team total over. I think they put up some points, but we'll see. That should be a great game.
Yeah, I kind of like Alabama. I saw it at -7. I think it's probably a 14 to 17 point game with Alabama kind of pulling away late. They probably score that second touchdown, puts them up 14 kind of late in the fourth quarter, and Texas can't really come back from that. So I like Bama kind of at the -7, -7.5 range in Tuscaloosa. I mean,
Yeah.
if it were in Austin, maybe it's a little different, but in Tuscaloosa, I just don't think Texas can go in there and get much done.
All right,
What do
let's
you?
talk about.
Yeah, what do
Sorry,
you
go ahead,
think
Mark.
about my Aggies this weekend, Lane? What's your feel on that one?
Oh man, wait, they're going to Miami, yeah, and you're going to
Yes,
be in attendance.
I will be boots on the ground, so that
Yeah, what's
do with that information as you wish.
Miami +4.5 all day?
I'd
I
take
will
Look,
say I will say A&M looks good, but they played New Mexico, so
who
Take it
who did
with a grain of salt.
Miami play week one? I mean, how did they? Any read on
Miami.
them?
They played Miami of Ohio, yeah. So they laid it on them too. So this is kind of one of those week 2 spots
Yeah.
where you don't really know who's who. I'm very interested to see going out there. I've heard about the building and it's not very a tough environment to play in. There's not too much attendance. It should have a pretty good representation of A&M fans out there. So I don't think that's going to play too much of a factor. So I think we win. I think we had the firepower, but this is definitely a week 2 spot. If I was betting this game, I'd have no opinion. There's nowhere real edge that you can look for anywhere in your prep. These two teams, we really don't know who's who yet.
yeah, yeah, 4.5 is a interesting line too. It's not really a football number to bet against, so
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I think
it'd
the
be a
fact that
scrap
Mark,
though on the road. I mean,
it's
you're right
tough.
about the environment probably not being that huge, but just anything on the road and college football gets squirrely in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this with Magic Mark being boots on the ground, that makes me think, man, it always adds an element to it when you're going
Hey,
to have your quarterback.
he did have boots on the ground. His Tulane bet was a walk in the park.
It
Walk in
is.
the park.
And
And
there's a
a
great
fun
boots on
fact
the
about
ground
me is
pick.
I haven't seen, and this is going to be a crazy stat to the listeners out there, but I haven't seen A&M lose in like 5 years. So
Wow.
yeah,
Whoa, that's
You
big
picked
time.
games well then.
picking the right
Yeah.
games.
I'll say this, man. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be sitting there having some cold friendlies, vibing. I could see some Aggies making that trip down to Miami this time of year. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hey, stay out of trouble down there. I've been, we've all been to Miami with Marky Mark, so you got to keep your head on a swivel and stay on the straight and narrow down there, big dog.
if I didn't get in any trouble this weekend, then I think I'm good for this this next weekend.
That's
Yeah.
right, man. Good mindset going in. But okay, we're gonna close it with this. I will say something. Lane and I are gonna talk about the Tech Oregon game moving in later into this week. I wasn't able to find on my site any first half lines for Tech Oregon. And Lane and I touched on this a second ago on the Ramblin' Raiders episode. Plus 6.5 is one of those lines where everyone's sitting there thinking like, what's the catch? It's too easy, right? Like Tech losing to Wyoming, Oregon smacking. I think it was Mercer putting up 80.
Portland State, I thought, wasn't it?
Portland State.
Yeah.
This Oregon team and Bo Nix in particular has been inconsistent in the past, especially on the road from a boy. Well, actually, he said that guy. I mean, how long's he been in college now? Like
I think his freshman
15
year was
years?
19 at Oregon. So
Yeah.
this is his fifth season.
Yeah, I was going to say he feels like a veteran, so I feel like there's been times where he's struggled on the road and times where he's kind of gone off. It's Bo Nix is like a box of chocolates, man. You never know what you're going to get with that guy. I do expect Tech to come out hungry. I think Joey McGuire's teams, one kind of indicative trait of these teams is that they respond after a loss. Now, this loss is crippling. It is one that's going to hurt some egos. Guys are going to be pretty pissed off. But this is the biggest non-con game since I believe Ohio State in like 2002. Point being this, I don't know if Tech can pull it out like a win. It's going to be tough. This Oregon team's solid. I don't hate buying the hook and going up to +7. I could see Tech losing this game by a field goal or worst case scenario. The chefs loving the tea sauce, maybe even by a full point, losing by a touchdown. Last minute drive, losing by a field goal. Potentially some things don't go your way, you lose by 10. But I want to keep, for our Red Raider listeners to keep the faith, I do think this is going to be a dogfight. I really do. I think Vegas is, in which they typically do, they kind of know what they're getting into with these sort of bets. And despite Tech letting us down in the past, I think it's going to be a better game than most expect. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all that we'll pull it out. But be careful, man. A +7.5 for the Red Raiders, I'm not totally against it. I'll put it that way.
This game's at night too, right?
Night game.
Yeah, it's
Night
16
game at
game.
Jones. That's a tough spot.
Night game at the Jones, sellout crowd. You got parts of the new stadium built. There's a lot they still need to add on. It won't be completed until 2024, but you got some new equipment and new infrastructure you're marching out there. It's going to be a rowdy crowd. I don't know. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Tech loses this game by 7 to 10 points. I'll put it that way. But we'll have to see what happens, man. That's why you lace him up and play the game. So we'll see how it shakes out ultimately. But guys, that was good. I know we're running a little longer than normal. Any final just remarks? Mark, be safe in Miami. Joe and Lane, any final remarks here as we close it out?
I guess I'll have boots in the ground close to Colorado. I won't be in Boulder, but since I had my Colorado bet earlier, I'll be in the state, so hopefully they can get it done for me.
Love it. Joe, I mean, you're just out there in the Wild West, man. Keep cultivating that honey.
Joe's in Oregon, which is actually a good omen because he lives in Oregon. He'll have boots in the ground in Oregon to sabotage.
We have
before they head down to Lubbock.
We have one Texas Tech jersey in this house, and me and Haley will definitely be fighting over it.
Joe, I just thought about it. Hold on, I just thought about it. I don't know why I'm freaking out, dude. Tech's gonna win on Saturday. It's gonna be a wash because me and Joe, when we ride together, just the two of us, no one else involved, we are over what feels like 1,000, but realistically it's probably over 15.
Yeah.
Dude, you and me, Oregon money line. You and me, we're gonna ride on it together. There's no shot they win, man. We're about to put them in the grave, hex them out of the gate. There you have it. Big Pick Joe, chef, riding Oregon money line going into this one. Texas Tech, cash it in right now.
Yeah, you hear me and Jay get on either team's side. The other side ought to be a unity hit.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of unity, what are we going to do for that?
We got to end with our unity.
Yeah. So what do you? I mean, I kind of like Colorado.
Throw it out quick, man. Either UTSA or Colorado.
My bet's on UTEP, El Paso, but yeah, I think Colorado's a ratty line personally, but
I
That's
say
all.
I do think UTEP's probably a little safer. Northwestern.
I say we take UTEP. It's a unity hit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
UTEP.
Get us
all in
back on
favor?
track.
All in favor of UTEP?
All in favor.
Aye.
Boom, cash it, baby. We'll take what is it? We'll take you take the bets to the book. We'll take the bling to the bank for you. The Unity hit, you heard it there, UTEP, and that just what has been a tumultuous and terrible kind of program right now up in Northwestern. I like it as well. Jeff Traylor looking for some revenge. Boys, great episode. Everybody, Red Raiders, keep your guns up. Aggies, look for Mark in Miami. We'll see you guys in week 3.
Yep. We'll beat the books.